Welcome back to Dano Does Things. This week we are trying out and reviewing the Loome 5-in-1 tool. Not sponsored, by the way. Apparently the Loome tool is a Pom Pom maker, a tassel maker, a friendship bracelet maker, a cord maker, and a small weaving maker, and apparently just a crafty multitasker. Honestly, I saw it at my local yarn store and I kind of had to have it and try it out and see if it actually does any of these things well. Because what I find is when something tries to do a lot of things, it doesn't do any of them very well. So we'll see. I haven't even taken it out of the box, so I'm going to basically take this out, look at the instructions, which I think are online because there's no way they're in this tiny box, and I'll see what I can make in the next hour or so. So stick around and I will let you know if this is worth the buy. I paid $22, by the way, so we'll see if it's worth it. Okay, so we have our Loome tool here, and let's open it up and see what we're working with. So there is the tool right there. It is made of wood, and it is fairly solid feeling. It doesn't feel like I'm gonna just snap it right away, which is always a good thing. Apparently there are different versions of the Loome tool, and this one here is called the Robot. So if you're looking for this model, that's the one you're looking for. So we're gonna start by doing a Pom Pom, the first of the 5-in-1 tools. They actually have a YouTube channel. I'm going to be following this tutorial from the Loome YouTube page. This is their tutorial for a orb Pom Pom. I just watched it, and so we're gonna see if just this one video is enough knowledge for me to be able to make a Pom Pom on the loom here. I've got my yarn here. In the video they use a worsted weight yarn, and I've got a bit of a thinner yarn, so they do what they call 160 revolutions. So they wrap it around the top part here 160 times. So I'm going to try to do it a little bit more than that, and we'll see what happens. So as in the video, I'm going to place the tail up in one of these little divots here to keep it steady, and then I'm just going to start wrapping. Okay, so I've done 200 revolutions here, and they recommend tying it off with embroidery thread, so let me grab that. All right, we'll snip this end here, and I'm actually going to just put that back in this little divot just so it doesn't unravel, and we'll grab a short length of embroidery thread. Should be good. Now, one thing that I think I did a little wrong is I put it down a little too far, so I can't really get to this lower hole, which is what you need to do because you need to get around it. So I'm going to try to slide it a little without sliding it right off the end. All right. I think we should be able to get it through there. I might need a needle though. Let's grab that. So I'll just use one of these big darning needles here. Put that through. Oh no, that's not tight enough. I'm going to get that off and do it again. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, yes, I am going to slide this off now. This is why you don't want it to be too tight, or else you won't be able to slide it off. All right, now that that's like that, we're going to do another row of embroidery floss, and we're going to do it on the opposite side, and we're going to get this even tighter and make sure we get our pom-pom middle nice and tight. They recommend doing this over a bowl, but you know what? I'm not gonna go get one. And it just says to cut all your loops. Okay, there is all of our loops cut. And now we got to give this bad boy a trim because it looks pretty crazy and not very pom-pom like. So the shortest ends are going to be what determine how big our pom-pom is. So we're going to start there and just start going around one way and trimming everything down to about the same length. My skill at cutting pom-poms does not affect how I will rate this pom-pom maker. Okay, I am not very good at shaping pom-poms into a very round shape, but here is my kind of finished pom-pom. Oh, I can't stop. I keep seeing long pieces and I have to make them shorter, and then I cut it too short, and then there's other long pieces, and oh my goodness. But like I said, this is not going to factor into my rating of the tool. My ability to make a circle is not the tool's fault. That's all on me. But there we go. That is the pom-pom. So I'm going to clean up this mess and we're going to move on to the tassel. And at the end, I will tell you what I thought of each version of the tool. All right, I am back, and this time we are going to be making a tassel using this tutorial from the Loome YouTube website. I'm going to be using the same weight of yarn as I did for the pom-pom. And we're going to start by putting it into this divot here. Now we're going to wrap it around the arm here for about 30 times. And this is going to make a fairly small tassel. The other ones, the other versions of the loom can make longer tassels, but this one will be fairly short, but we'll make it anyways. All right, so that's 30 revolutions, and we're going to end our tassel on the same place that we started. So we'll put that there and then cut it with a bit of a tail. Now I'm going to use the exact same yarn, and this is going to be what they call a head knot. So what you're going to want to do is take that yarn and slide it in between the tool there, between the yarn, and slide it all the way up to the top, and then give that a good knot on the top. I think I did it a little tight, so it's a bit hard for me to slide this under, but that's okay. So now we're going to slide this off the loom. There we go. And now we're going to finish this tassel off by putting a little knot around here. I'll get some more yarn. Do about that long there. It's about a foot. And we'll smooth this out nicely. And then place this like so. You want more of your yarn to be on one end than the other. And we'll tie that. And we'll adjust it how we want it. I want the sort of top part to be about that big, so we'll go with that. And do a little knot. There we go. And now we're going to wrap this around here to give it a little more definition. And once we get sort of almost to the end of our yarn there, we'll tie it off again. And now a good tip that they gave me in the video was to hide these two ends into our pom-pom here, but actually we're going to do that after we've cut it, so never mind that for now. Now we're going to go through all our loops and cut. I missed some. All right. Now we'll just make this nice and even. Comb it out first. And now we'll hide these two threads that were used to wrap it by putting it through our needle and tucking it through. All right, so that is the tassel, and that would be the biggest version of the tassel you can make on this loom. You could make a shorter version, but this is the longest one you could make. And there we go. So that's one more thing down from the 5-in-1 toolkit. So the next thing we're going to do is try to make a friendship bracelet. So let's again clean this up and start doing that. All right, so it's time to make the friendship bracelet now. We've got our loom, and I've got a yarn that is about 1.5 feet, and then I've got 2 pieces of yarn that are about 3 feet long each. I am following this tutorial from the Loom YouTube, the single loop or 4P friendship bracelet. So let's start by knotting all of our yarn together. We'll do that one slightly longer, so that's our shorter one that's going to be higher up. Going to trim that end, but not cut the warp one. And now we're going to get this onto our loom. You want to make sure it's pretty secure, so you're going to sort of wrap it more than once. There we go. And now we'll secure this bottom one as well. So again, this is the short thread that we're securing. All right, so hopefully that stays tight for the whole thing. Now what I'm going to do is get 2 tapestry needles here. I've got my blue one and my orange one, and we're going to thread each end. And now this pattern uses a very classic sort of friendship bracelet pattern. So it's where you're making a 4 and then going under one yarn and over the other yarn and pulling through. So we're going to do that kind of knot for that side, and then this side, it's going to be the opposite direction for under, over, and pull tight. So we're just going to keep doing that, and we'll see how this works. Let's see what it turns out to be. So I am about halfway-ish done, and I do find that my tension's getting pretty loose here, so I am going to re-wrap my warp thread and just tighten that up. All right, so about 10 minutes later, I've got this bracelet here. I'm going to take it off my loom. And then I'm going to knot it at this end as well. Now, I believe you could continue going on if you sort of slid this part into the hook, or maybe tied it around the hook. You could probably keep making it longer, but for now we're just going to tie it off here. There we go, and now I'm going to trim the end again. And we've got a little bracelet. It's pretty small. This is my wrist, which is a fairly normal adult wrist. And it does not quite go all the way around, but I do have a friendship bracelet, so there you go. All right, so let's clean this up now again, and we'll move on to the cord making. Okay, now it is time to make a cord using this loom tutorial from YouTube. I'm not gonna lie, the cord was one of the things I was most excited about to be able to make, because I have some projects where I want to make some cord, and I hope this will be easy. So let's get into that. Now, I think this is a bit easier with one of the different looms, but we're going to start by holding our tail down here along the back of this, and then we're going to bring it up to the right, across, over, like so. So that's what it's going to look like to start. They go over the instructions a little better, obviously, in the video. So now what we're going to do is keeping tight on this cord. We're going to pull, I believe, wait, now I'm confused. Give me a second. Okay, over. This goes up over top of this. Like so. Ooh, the cord's definitely the most confusing one so far. I am watching the video on my lap while I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, over, under, over. Oh, this one goes over, like so. Okay. Now that doesn't make any sense. Okay, let me figure this out. Let's go. How do I always, okay, I get to like the third one and I screw up. I feel like I'm doing okay and then I mess up. So what am I doing differently? What am I doing wrong? Can you see? Can you see my hands and tell me what I'm doing wrong here? It is not doing what I want it to do. Okay, I'm gonna try a thicker yarn. Maybe that will help. This makes me feel so not dexterous. And I'm fairly dexterous. Okay, I think it's actually kind of slightly turning into a cord here. Over and turn. Over and turn. Okay, look, there's a cord. Oh my goodness, okay. Let's do this a few more times and see if we can get sort of into a rhythm here. Okay, so clearly I have figured this out now and am getting a bit of a cord going here and a bit of a pattern. So we'll do this one more time here and then we'll cut it off. So now we'll take that off there and cut it. And we're going to want to draw this through the loop. Ooh, which one first? This one maybe? Okay, I think I finished this wrong, but honestly, I'm just really happy that I actually got something that looks like a cord. So tie that off. Oh, there we go. Not too bad. All right, there is my cord. It actually looks really good now that I have gotten through it. So there we go. There's a cord. So the last thing up is the weaving. So we will set up for that and let's go. All right, so let's get weaving on the robot loom here. So I watched a couple of the videos in the weaving playlist from the Loom YouTube channel, and let's see how this works. So I'm going to start by warping my loom. So we'll start by securing this top one right here with a couple little knots. And then we're going to go down to the bottom, over and up, secure that. We're going to come across to this side, bring that down, over and up, and there we go. Going to really secure the ends here, just to make sure it doesn't come apart on me. So now I have my warp done and I'm going to start weaving. Just going to use some regular yarn here. Now, of course, with weaving, the sort of pattern you get is going to come from the weaving style. So I'm just going to do sort of in and out, like really, really simple, just to sort of get a feel for how it is to use this tool and what I could make with it. So I'm just doing a really simple over under motion there. Oh, my little yarn. Just to get that started. And now I'm going to go over to this side. So with the robot loom, it's going to have this big space in the center, and then you're going to be just warping on the outside. So keep that in mind for the kind of weaving you want to do. Under and over. Under and over. And we're just going to keep repeating that sort of under over pattern here. Okay, you can see that I've got the start of a little weaving here. Obviously, it's not very big and you're limited by the size of the loom, but I do like how this is sort of looking. I can imagine making a few things with this. So I'm actually going to keep this on the loom because I'm not going to show you how to finish this today. Maybe that'll be a whole other tutorial, but I think I have a good enough feel of it to be able to give you my thoughts on the Loome tool overall. All right, so with the Loome tool here, we made a pom-pom, we made a tassel, we made a little friendship bracelet, and we made a cord, and we made a miniature weaving. So overall, I do enjoy this product. I think it's a really interesting product. The 5-in-1 tool does do 5 things, though I don't think it does all of the things super well. For the pom-poms, I think that it works great. I really like the pom-pom maker. Of course, you are limited for the different kind of size, so you can only get about this big. You could do smaller, obviously, but this is about as big as it's going to get. I found the pom-pom very easy to use, just as easy as those, circular craft pom-pom makers. Here, let me... Just as easy to use as something like this. In fact, kind of easier because these have so many different parts to them, and this is just a lot easier to store and handle. It's just a very simple tool, and I do like that compared to these sort of plastic pom-pom makers. Tassels, it did great as well. Again, if you use tassels for... If you're making tassels and using like cardboard, this is just a lot more sturdy. It's not going to bend and not going to warp as much. So it just feels very sturdy to do it on. Again, you are limited by size. That's about as big as it's going to get, but you can do some variations and mix it up with your kinds of tassels. The friendship bracelets, I'm gonna say it wasn't my favorite way to use the loom. I did find it to be a little difficult. When you're making friendship bracelets, you really want that tension. And I found that having the loom just sort of sitting there, it was sliding all over the place. So maybe if I found a way to secure the loom, which it does have this sort of circle here. So I have a beading board and I could just put sort of a pin in there and keep it on the board there. And I think that might help with my tension issues with the friendship bracelets. I also find that the size is very limiting. So you can only really make a very short sort of friendship bracelet. I think you could probably finagle a way to make it longer, but it's gonna be harder because you can't really fit a thicker bracelet into these little prongs. It's just not gonna stay and not gonna keep the tension well. The cord turned out great once I actually figured out how to use it. It was definitely the most difficult skill to learn, but once I got into the flow, I think it really, really worked out well. The tension was difficult to maintain at first as well, but I think with practice, I think it would be second nature to be able to make these cords. And like I said, it's one of the main reasons why I wanted this one in the first place. So I think this is worth it definitely for the cord maker. As for the loom, again, you're limited by size, but it is a really solid little frame here. And I can imagine making some really cute like keychains or tiny wall hangings. And you could even come through and then weave more this way as well once you do all your weavings this way and make a lot of different designs. You could also really combine a lot of things, you know, with like tassels and everything. So overall, I really did enjoy the Loome tool. I think that I would recommend it. I would say if you don't have Pom Pom makers, then getting the Loome tool is going to be really handy because you're going to be able to make the pom-poms and then you just have the ability to make even more things with it. So if you are looking to make pom-poms, yes. Tassels, yes. Friendship bracelets, maybe not. If that's your sort of main reason why you're getting it, I would maybe say try something else, but the rest of it I would really recommend. So this is a great little tool. It wasn't too expensive and it's super handy and lightweight to keep with you. So if you're traveling and you want to do some mini craft projects, I think it would be perfect for that. I like the aesthetic of it and it feels really well made as well. So overall, I would recommend the Loome tool for you. And if you do get it and try it out, let me know. Show me your creations over on Instagram. Tag me at DanoDoesThings. And thanks as always for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.